Thank you. So when I was in my early 20s, I met a man at a party who had a pretty impressive job in show business. Though, when you're in your early 20s, just about anyone with a job in show business seems impressive. But the reason that I remember this man is because he told me point blank that I would never make it. Not big, not in this business. Really, I say? Yes, and do you know how I know this? He asks me. No, I say, I don't know. Noting that I say no twice in the same breath, which can't be good. No, no, as though something deep inside me didn't really want to know. But never mind, here he goes. He's on a roll, the man. Because he says, you're too gay. And that gay word slices clean through me, like a bullet through butter. But hey, I grew up with people saying worse than gay to me. They raised sticks and fists and once a boot to make their point. They called me faggot, sissy, and girly boy, and that was just to get my attention. I hate to say it, the guy says, in that way that some people just love to say. But gay will get you nowhere. And just like that, I'm done for, transformed into a common loser without my say-so. So I say, fine. But wait, let me get this straight. Are you suggesting that in order to be successful, I will have to be less gay? Oh, no, that's my point, he says. You couldn't be less gay if you tried. Now, this won't be the last time that it happens. It goes on like this for years. People coming along telling me to tone it down, butch it up, don't dance so much, gesture less, lose the lisp, wear a tie, don't be such a girl. I'm sure I'm not alone here. I'm guessing that many of you grew up with people telling you to be something other than yourself, as if such a thing was possible. So fast forward, it's the early 90s, I'm sitting at my desk, I'm listening to NPR, and I happen to hear a news report about how suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people ages 13 to 24. The second leading cause of death in this country. And then they just casually mention the fact that gay and lesbian young people are 3 to 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their heterosexual peers. I'm shocked. First by the statistics, and then when I do a little research, by the fact that nothing is being done to prevent this loss of life. Now, as a storyteller, I've learned to be alert to this kind of a moment when the story that's quietly living inside me is suddenly awakened by the circumstances outside myself. And then I have no choice but to tell that story, send it out into the world with the hope that maybe, just maybe, that story will change those circumstances forever. So not long after that, I wrote a story about a 13-year-old boy named Trevor who discovers that he's gay and figures that it'd be better if he wasn't around anymore. Fortunately, he doesn't go through with it, and he decides to live another day. But Trevor's not just the story of a kid in a panic over being gay. It's a story of anyone who feels that they just don't fit in no matter how hard they try. The story of what it feels like to be gloriously and inevitably yourself. So I started performing that story of Trevor as part of a solo show, which I did here in New York, Off Broadway, about 20 years ago. And around that time, two producers, Randy Stone and Peggy Reisky, contacted me and asked me if I'd be interested in adapting the story of Trevor into a screenplay, which I did. That 16-minute film, beautifully directed by Peggy Reisky and produced by Randy and Peggy, went on to win a whole bunch of awards, including the Academy Award for Best Live Action Short. That was an amazing honor, but then 2 years later, something even more incredible happened. HBO agreed to show the film on television. And Randy and Peggy and I thought, well, wouldn't it be a good idea if we put a telephone number at the end of the broadcast in case there were kids out there who recognized themselves in the character of Trevor and needed someplace to turn. So on August 8th, 1998, we launched the Trevor Project, the first and still the only national 24/7 suicide prevention and crisis intervention lifeline for LGBT and questioning youth. But the story doesn't end there. Just this last Thanksgiving, I was standing in a bustling kitchen, a smart 20-something-year-old genderqueer person with a gender questionable name like Kagan, a person who preferred the pronouns they, them, theirs, leaned in and just quietly thanked me because as a teenager, Trevor had been there to save their life. Now, this is not the first time that this has happened, but every time it happens, I'm so struck by the reality of this human being standing there in front of me, a person who might not have made it through had it not been for Trevor. And then I think to myself, well, what if I had not made it through? What if, like so many of my contemporaries, I had not found my way forward, had not lived to tell my story? Where would Kagan be? And then jumping forward 10 or 20 years from now, I wonder, well, what's the story that Kagan will be telling then? Or better yet, what's the story that Kagan is telling now? Kagan and every young person that you meet, they are the future. They're already living it. And we would be wise to listen to their stories. So Jordan was 13 when she first realized that growing up gender neutral in rural Tennessee was going to be tough. She was verbally harassed in her church by a fellow churchgoer. Rather than walking away, she decided that she was going to transform her church through dialogue. And not satisfied to merely make it better for herself, she decided to visit every LGBT inclusive church in the state of Tennessee, making sure that they were not only gay-friendly, but gay-inclusive and gay-affirming as well. The next year, she had created a directory of safe places of worship for LGBT young people in her state. At 19, Connor came out to his teammates, making him the first out college football player in the country. Not an easy thing to do, considering he has 3 older brothers and a father who didn't exactly welcome the idea. But fortunately, it turned out well for Connor, and he went on to start an organization called Out in the Streets, supporting young people who have been kicked out of their homes for being who they are. And Jazz is 15. When she was only 9, she was a founder, along with her parents, of the Purple Rainbow Foundation. This is an organization that supports trans kids and their families. Not everyone's as lucky as Jazz to have a family as supportive and accepting, and this is something that Jazz has always known. So when she was only 12, she started making and selling mermaid fins to raise money for the foundation. She's now a committed activist, a celebrated author. She was named twice by Time magazine as one of the top most influential teens in the country for 2 years in a row, and she has her own TV show called I Am Jazz on TLC, beginning its 2nd season. And then there's Tyler. I first met Tyler in 2006. He was posting videos from his college dorm room, encouraging young people to be themselves and telling them about the Trevor Project. I was so impressed, I sent him a postcard just encouraging him. 10 years later, Tyler Oakley is a YouTube phenomenon with over 7 million followers. He's a best-selling author, and he's a champion of young people everywhere, actually daring them to be themselves. So this is what it looks like if you have the commitment and the support and the love of your family and community. Ironically, these young people have taught me what it looks like to really make it big. They've shown me that making it big means making more and more myself. Expanding self to include everything skin out, the whole damn world. Can I make it mine? All of it. Can I include, for instance, you? Whether you are lesbian or gay or bi or transgender or cisgender or two-spirit or androgyne, intersex, asexual, pansexual, questioning, queer, or just some undeclared freelance superhero on the fly. Can I make you mine? Can I stand in your shoes? Or better yet, can I stand right here while you sit there, right there, and remember that together we are what it looks like to really make it big. If we are to survive in this world, if we're to make it big ourselves, we're going to have to expand to include the stories of others, all the others. So go. Start by finding a young person. Get them to sit and tell you their story. Don't be so quick to tell them what you know or how it is or what you've made of the world you've seen so far. Instead, listen for the sound of the future. And then, I dare you, do everything in your power to help them make it big. Thank you.